Hey everybody, it's Jason Blaha here representing Jason Blaha Strength and Fitness, and today I want to chat with you guys and gals a little bit about these people who warn you about anti-nutrients. But a quick reminder, if you guys will please click like down below, it'd be greatly appreciated. If you're not subscribed or following, please do so, and if you'll be kind enough to drop me a comment down below, I would appreciate it so much. Thank you. Let's get over to this topic. Anti-nutrients is kind of a slightly newer term. It's been thrown around in a lot of circles, and essentially what we mean by anti-nutrients is any nutrient found in foods that has the ability to block the absorption of some other nutrients. Now, here's going to be the dead giveaway. Most of the foods that have anti-nutrients in them are the foods that we generally associate in all the data with great health outcomes, greater longevity, lower cancer rates. So I want people to think about that for a moment. So this is a perfect example of what we mean by people like biohackers do this silly stuff. They'll find a hypothetical or one potential pathway for something in the body and then build all sorts of massive models off of it. But in reality, in the real human beings, it doesn't ever actually pan out, right? Does that make sense? Like, hey, we found this one thing, but in the real world, it doesn't actually really appear. Makes sense? Or in the case of many foods, as I've said many times, every food you can find something wrong with it. So what we're looking at is net positive versus net negative effect. In other words, if you look at a food and there's different things in the food and you find approximately 117 possible negative effects in the body from a food, but you find 897 positive effects, we would describe that as a healthy food. People think I'm joking when I make those numbers up or exaggerating. I'm not. So just be aware that's how many different processes could occur in your body from eating broccoli. It could be hundreds. And some of them will be positive, some will be negative. So when people harp on individual negatives, they're not looking at the net effect. So here's what you need to think about. If there was a net negative to these foods, populations that eat larger amounts of them would have higher rates of illness, right? It's very straightforward, isn't it? Right? If a food is in general harming health, we would expect to see the populations that eat larger amounts of those foods having higher health problems of some type. We wouldn't expect them to be generally healthy populations, okay? So when you start looking at all the foods that contain these anti-nutrients, they're the foods that are most heavily correlated in societies that live long, have low rates of cancer, low rates of diabetes. You see the problem here? Something's not adding up. Now, there are some anti-nutrients that are legitimate concerns in certain foods. There's extensive data, even from nutrition departments of universities, putting out enormous amounts of data discussing these topics. Most of those go away by cooking. Like your biggest ones, actually, the most serious concern ones are usually beans and things. That's why we cook beans. There's a reason we don't eat beans raw. But generally, even a lot of your vegetables, if you simply cook them, these problems go away. But the other thing, I'll give you a perfect example, phytic acid. So doing the digging, a lot of people make a big deal about phytic acid, except that it has an enormous amount of health benefits. They're like, yeah, but it can block the absorption. And we say block, we mean reduce. Reduce the absorption of iron, copper, stuff like that, right? Zinc. Okay? Except there's different types of iron. It doesn't block the type of iron, say, found in meat. It can slow the type of iron found in vegetables. Ooh, okay. So what do the best experts say? They're like, so when you look at the absorption issues of it, they're like, too much phytic acid on a vegan diet or a vegetarian diet, say with no meat and only low iron and low zinc forms of dairy and stuff, right? What's our concern? Well, yeah, it might be an issue in excess. And if these people are not eating a large amounts of, say, iron and stuff in their diet to go with it, they may have an iron deficiency. Okay? Particularly vegans. But what's been noted, these problems do not appear in populations that eat meat. So if you eat any meat at all, like if you eat a varied omnivore diet of whole foods like we're supposed to eat, right? Large amounts of whole food plants, and then, a certain percentage, reasonable amount of animal source food in your diet. guess what? You don't have these problems at all. All the concerns of phytic acid, they do not appear at all in populations that eat meat. So enjoy your vegetables and your brown rice and stuff. Okay. However, what do we also know with phytic acid? It has strong antioxidant properties. It is literally an antioxidant. Phytic acid reduces cancer rates, particularly colon cancer, things like that. Okay. Stop and think about that for a moment. Literally, a lot of the people are like, oh, phytic acid, they literally eat the foods that are associated with some colon cancer. Okay? But what do we note in the research? That when fiber's high enough, and things like phytic acid, things like that are high enough, red meat's not associated at all with colon cancer. Like normal, we're not talking about the processed stuff. Right? There's no association. It completely removes it. To kind of see where we're going with this, it's almost like, wow, instead of harping on these individual foods, if you just eat a balanced whole food diet, different foods cancel each other out. So the grains that have the phytic acid, guess what? If you eat a little bit of meat, all the anti-nutrient concerns disappear. Lo and behold, what a miracle. You eat some red meat that may have some minor concerns for, say, colon cancer and some cancers of the bowels. Guess what? You eat the whole grains and the other foods with some of the phytic acid in it, these concerns go away. Wow, it's a freaking miracle. My God, eating a balanced, varied whole food diet works really, really well. But back over to that point, literally the phytic acid reduces insulin resistance, reduces cancer rates. It's an antioxidant. So again, it reduces diabetes rates. Yet then people want to fear it. Yet the entire absorption issue of it goes away if you eat meat. Yet people will stand there and harp about it. So the people promoting all of them, we could go nutrient by nutrient by nutrient through these anti-nutrients, one by one, and find stuff like this. These people are charlatan con men grifters who are selling diet books and garbage, stupid stuff to you for money. They're complete con men who ignore the actual science to promote stuff like this. They ignore the data. They ignore what the best experts say. You say, look, no, these are not problems. This here's fine. Eat this and this. Cook it. Whatever. Becomes zero concern. Hey, maybe don't be a raw food vegan. Problem solved.